Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Thank you all for coming. It's going to be a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about, I got this new cool book, and it is The Secret History of the World, laid down by secret societies. And who doesn't like to know about secret societies? You know, there's all kinds of things that go on. So anyway, we're going to look at this book. It's really good. It's got lots of stuff, and it starts out with something called In the Beginning. Why is this important? I bet you're wondering, why is this important? And what does this mean? What does this mean? We're going to read a little bit out of the introduction. It says, in this history of the world, it has been taught down the ages, just like some good books are, down the ages in certain secret societies. They seem quite mad from today's point of view, but extraordinarily high proportion of men and women who made history have been believers. And that's what it takes to have a secret society. You've got to have people that have faith and believe, just like a religion. Historians of the ancient world tell us that from the beginning of Egyptian civilization to the collapse of Rome, public temples in places like Thebes, Eleusis, Ephesus, and had priestly enclosures attached to them. Classical scholars refer to these enclosures as the mystery schools, just like the Library of Alexander held all that information, and we know there had to be some good stuff there that's stored in the bottom of the Vatican in the basement somewhere. Here, meditation techniques were taught to the political and cultural elite following years of preparation. They started them out when they were kids. Plato, Ecclesiastes, Alexander the Great, Caesar, Augustus, Cyrano, whatever, and others were initiated into secret society philosophy. At different times, the techniques used by these schools involved sensory deprivation, breathing exercises. We've done them here on this show. Sacred dances, as we know that the Indians did, and other places and other cultures. Drama, hallucinogenic drugs. A lot of people do those, good or bad, and different ways of redirecting sexual energy. These techniques were intended to elude altered states of consciousness, in the course of which initiates were able to see the world in new ways. What new world are they talking about? Anyone who revealed to outsiders what he had been taught inside the enclosures was executed. Yes, you know, that's the thing. You break the word, you break the oath, you go down the road, and you pay the price. Under the cover of darkness, they scaled the walls and dropped down on the other side. Followed by audible over the city in the morning, and the boys' corpses were discovered in front of the enclosed gates. See, that's what happened. They're talking about people who tried to do things. In ancient world, the teachings of the mystery schools were guarded as closely as nuclear secrets are guarded today. That's pretty good, because most of us don't know anything about nuclear secrets. And that's just how they like it. Then in the 3rd century, the temples of the ancient world were closed down. Christianity became the ruling religion of the Roman Empire. The danger of proliferation was addressed by declaring these secrets heretical, and trafficking in them continued to be capital offenses. Means they, but as we shall see, members of the new ruling elite, including the church, because they got all that information buried in the bottom of the Vatican. Leaders now began to form secret societies. So there were secret societies inside the secret societies. Behind closed doors, they continued to teach old secrets. Go figure. The books contain accumulation of evidence to show that the ancient and secret philosophy and orientated in the mystery schools was preserved and nurtured down the ages through the medium of secret societies, including the Knights Templar, we've all heard of them, and the Rosicrucians. Sometimes the philosophy has been hidden from the public, and at other times it has been placed in plain view, though always in such a way to remain unrecognized by outsiders. Well, yeah, you place something in plain view, you don't even see it. So, I'm going to skip over a bunch of the stuff. It talks about the Pope. It talks about the days of the Catholic Church in the spiritual realm. And it goes on about Lewis and, the Wizard of Oz and Mary Poppins, who believed in the secret history and the secret philosophy. With a mixture of topsy-turvy and childlike literalness, these writers have sought to undermine the common sense, materialistic view of life. They wanted to teach children to think backwards and look at everything upside down and the other way around and break free of the established fixed ways of thinking. So it's basically saying, look outside the box. You're in the box, people. That's what we're after tonight. You're in the box. You're getting out of the box, but how do you get out of the box? You need to think outside the box. If you were outside the box, how would you get out of the box if you were inside? Put it that way. Would you just tip the box upside down and you'd fall out and you're out of the box, wouldn't you? Makes a lot of sense. So we're going to skip over all of this because then it talks about Rudolf Steiner. And we've all heard of him, Hermetics. Talks about Genesis. It talks about some of these other people, and we all know that they are part of those secret societies. And of course, like always, people, thank you for coming. I am so pleased to have you all here tonight, watching the show, whatever time it may be. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So put it that way. We are gonna dig right in. And of course, I always like to share and share alike, I say. But, maybe we'll do it like this. Present. And we have slides. We have screen share to share. Of course we do. Look at that. Maybe I'll go back to here. Oh, wait a minute. Stop sharing. And then share. Oh, well, you guys are patient with me. Think of the fun times we're having. And there we go. Look at that. There's the Earth. Whew. Just as big as ever. Okay, in the beginning, God peers at his reflection, the looking glass, the universe. Where did we hear about the looking glass before? Alice in Wonderland. If you haven't read that story, it's a great story to catch up on. You don't like that? Just watch the movie. It has a lot of hidden facts and things in there that will blow your mind. Okay, once upon a time, there was no time at all. Time is nothing but a measure of the changing positions of an object in space. And as any scientist, mysticist, or madman knows, in the beginning there were no objects in space. For example, a year in the measurement of a movement of the Earth and around the sun, a day is revolving of the Earth on its axis. And there we go. Revolving the Earth on its axis. Since by its own account, neither Earth nor sun existed in the beginning, the authors of the Bible never meant to say that everything was created in 7 days in the usual sense of a day. So how could they measure a day if the Earth didn't exist? Exactly. A day could be 1,000 years. A day could be, it has to be measured by something. So what was it measured by if the Earth was created? There you go. So was the Earth already here? And they're lying to us. It doesn't make sense, even using logic. You can't use logic, okay? In that way. You have to use logic. And logic says you can't create a day if you don't have the Earth. Okay, despite the initial absence of matter, space and time, something must have happened to get everything started. In other words, something must have happened before there was anything. Since there was no thing when something first happened, it is safe to say that the first happening must have been quite different from the sorts of events we regularly account for in terms of laws and physics. Might it make sense to say that the first happening could have been, in some ways, more like a mental event than a physical event? The idea of mental events generating physical events may at first seem counterintuitive, but in fact, it's something we experience all the time. For example, what happens when I'm struck by an idea? The idea of mental events generating physical events may at first seem counterintuitive, but in fact, it's something we experience all the time. For example, what happens when I'm struck with an idea such as, I just have to reach out and stroke her cheek? It's that pulse that jumps, a synapses of my brain, something like an electrical current burns down the nerves in my arm and my hands move. Can this everyday example tell us anything about origins of the cosmos? In the beginning, an impulse must have come from somewhere, but where? As children, didn't we all feel wonder when at first we saw crystals precipitating at the bottom of a solution? As an impulse, we squeeze out one dimension into the next. History, we shall see how many of the world's most brilliant individuals, the birth of the universe, the mysterious transition from no matter to matter, has been explained in just such a way to have enslaved an impulse squeezing out of another dimension into this one. And they have conceived of this dimension as the mind of God. While you are still on the threshold, and before you risk wasting any more time in history, we must make it plain that I am going to try to persuade you to consider something. Yes, which may be all right by a mystic or a madman, but which a scientist will not like. A scientist will not like it at all. Today, most advanced thinkers, alchemists, or academics like Richard Dawkins and Charles Simon, professor of public understanding of the science, da 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 da. Okay, materialists who regulate and maintain the scientific worldview that the mind of God. Oops, wait a minute. I went too fast. We're still on the idea. We got the idea here. Mind of God is no better than the idea of a white-haired old man. Yes, a white-haired old man. Up above the clouds. It is the same mistake. Yes. Wait, where's the white-haired old man? I had the white-haired old man here somewhere. Oh, well, he's not there. I thought I had a white-haired old man. But no white-haired old man for you people. Sorry. Well, maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Well, never mind then. Okay. Let's see. The fact is that they're right. Of course, there is no reason at all unless the other way around. In other words, the only reason why God's mind might be like ours is if ours was made to be like his. That is, if God made us in his image. And this is what happens in the book, because in the history of everything, it is the other way around. Everything here is upside down and inside out. In the pages that follow, you will be invited to think the last things that our people are guarded and maintain consensus. Back. Everything here is upside down and inside out. That's the whole point. Everything is upside down. It's just like in bizarro world. Let me quickly reassure you, and I'm not going to embroil you in academic debate or try to persuade you in a physiological argument that any of these forbidden ideas are right. The formal arguments for that can be against and found in some standard history, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Most advanced thinkers would be horrified and would certainly advise you to against toying with other ideas in any way, or let alone dwelling on them from time to time it will take to read this book. Okay, so what are we getting out of all this? Things are not the way we seem to they appear. That's, we got to look outside the box. That's what it's saying. It says all these things were forbidden thoughts. Intellectual leaders of our age believe to be heretical, stupid, and mad. So the guys who do think out of the box, they're considered mad, crazy. So in the story, what happened? What did happen before time? What was the primal mental event? In the story of God reflected by himself, he looked as it were into an imaginary mirror. Let's go to the mirror page. Okay, I'll present. We got pictures, Oh. So here we got the beginning of the universe. And there my dogs go barking again. So in the history, what happened before time? What was the primal mental event? In the story, God reflected on himself. He looked as if it were to an imaginary mirror. Where's the mirror? There we go, our imaginary mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. He imagined beings very much like himself. He imagined free, creative beings capable of loving so intelligently and thinking so lovely that they could transform themselves and others of their kind into innermost beings. They could expand their minds to embrace the totality of the cosmos, and the depths of their hearts they could discern too the secrets of the subtlest workings. Sometimes the love in them was almost snuffed out, but other times they found deeper happiness and other sides of despair, and sometimes too they found meaning the other side of madness. Putting yourself into God's position involves imagining that you are staring at your own reflection in a mirror. You are willing to imagine of yourself to see there to come alive and take on its own independent life. As we shall see in the following chapters, in the looking glass history taught by the secret societies, this is exactly what God did. His reflections, humans, gradually and in stages forming and achieving independent life, nurtured by him, guiding and prompted him over very long periods. Of course, you never get to see him. You just do. You are a reflection. Now the question is, are you a reflection? If God is good, then you're bad. Or are you good and God is bad? That's what I want to ask. Today's scientists will tell you that in the hour of your greatest anguish, there is no point in crying out to the heavens with any expression of your deepest and most heartfelt thoughts and feelings, because you are finding no answer, residence there. The stars can show you only indifference. The human task is to grow up, to mature, to learn, to come to terms with this indifference. Stare up at the stars and see what they tell you. That's right. The universe that this book describes is different because it was made with humankind in mind. In the history of the universe, the anthropothetic, every single particle of the straining directed towards humankind, this universe has nurtured us through the millennial, cradled us, helped the unique thing that is human consciousness to evolve and to guide each of us individuals toward the great moments in our lives. When you cry out, the universe turns towards you in sympathy. When you approach one of life's great crossroads, the whole universe holds its breath to see which way you will choose. Yes, and that's the universe. Scientists may talk of mystery and wonder of the universe and every single particle in its being connected to every other particle and pull of gravity. They point out amazing facts that as each and every one of us contains millions of atoms that are once here. That's us. Our brain is our universe. Go figure. Disappointing sense that the atoms we are made of were forged from hydrogen in stars, exploding long before our solar system was formed. Because the important point in this, however, they deck out an heretical mystery and the wonder. There in the universe, the scientist's universe, matter came before mind. The mind is an accident of matter, inessential and extraneous to matter, as one scientist went so far as to describe it as a disease of matter. On the other hand, in the mind before matter universe that this book describes, the connection between mind and matter is more intimate. In a living, dynamic connection, everything in the universe is alive and conscious to some degree, responding sensitively and intelligently to our deepest subtle needs. That means everything around you, from plants to the building that you're in, once it's created, the rocks, they all have hmm, well, I don't know if I was there or not. Well, what it's saying is, on the other hand, our mind is matter. It's the universe. It's everything we are. Everything in the universe is alive and conscious to some degree. That means every plant and animal. So everything around you has maybe doesn't have thought or consciousness, but it is alive. Put it that way. In this mind before matter universe is not emerged from the mind of God. It was created in order to provide conditions in which the human mind would be possible. Yeah, because if we don't have stuff, then we're not possible. Okay, so we're going to move on to this. Schrodinger's experiment is a cat sits in a box with radioactive material that has 50% chance of killing the cat. Both the cat being dead is being alive, remaining 50% possibility suspended in time. That's right. We have 50% chance. Well, where did this all come about? Secret societies. And we're going to go to all the upside down, inside out, other way around thinking of the secret societies. All that is bizarre and mind bending in the and that what flows stems the beliefs that mind preceding matter. We have almost no evidence to go on when we decide that we believe this happened. In the beginning, so in the beginning, we make choices and massive implications. Okay, if you believe that matter came before mind, you have to explain how a chance coming together of chemicals created the consciousness, which is difficult. If, on the other hand, you believe that matter is a precipitant of cosmic mind, it will be equally difficult problem. From the priests of the Egyptian temples to today's secret societies, from Pythagoras to Rudolf Steiner, the great Austrian initiate of the late 19th and early 20th century, this model was always been conceived of a serious thoughts emanating from cosmic mind, pure mind, to being with those thought emanations, later becoming a sort of proto-matter energy that becomes increasingly dense, that becomes matter so eternal that it's finer than gas. So, so you got these secret societies like this secret society. These guys, maybe these are the men in black or something that we all don't know anything about. There's other secret societies. These people know something. And you got to get into the society to find out that little bit that you want to know, because they seem to know those things. And there you go. More secret societies. It's like flipping a coin. Let's go to that part. Anyway, Let's talk about our thought and our conscious mind. Let's see. Scientists ask, is life just a dream? The headline ran in the Sunday Times in February 2005. The story was Sir Martin Rees, Britain's astronomer royal, was saying, over a few decades, the computers have evolved from being able to simulate only very simple patterns to being able to create virtual worlds in a lot of detail. And that is so true. Everything is a virtual world nowadays. Computers which will be able to simulate worlds perhaps even as complicated as the one we think we're living in. So that's a good question. Do you think that our world is simulated? Could it be that we live in a simulated world and we don't even know it? Is there a computer running the program of another computer running a program of another computer? You got to wonder about that. The wilder story was that leading scientists around the world are becoming increasingly fascinated by the extraordinary degree of fine-tuning that has been necessary for us to evolve. And this is making them question what is really real. What is really real? As well as the recent developments in science, novels, and movies have gone some way to colonize us in this idea, and we routinely take to the reality might be virtual reality. That is so true. Okay, the fact is that some leading scientists are again beginning to see possibilities in the ancient way of looking at the cosmos is an encouraging sign, although modern sensibility has little patience with metaphysics. It might look at like a high-minded research abstractions piled up on top of one another. The cosmology of the ancient world was, as any fair historian of ideas will allow, a magnificent philosophical machine in its account in interlocking, evolving dimensions, the clashing of morphing, of intermingling of great systems, in its scale, complexity, and awesome exemplary power, its rivals that of in modern science. You got to wonder what did the ancient people really think of? The balance between heat and cold, wetness and dryness, the earth being so far from the sun. Did they think of those things? You gotta wonder about that. It's like flipping a coin. Can the computer tell you which is going to be heads or tails? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. And there comes the reality of all this. Can you bend a spoon, mind over matter? Is this the Matrix? If you can hold that spoon out and bend it, is this possible? Your intentions? Okay, let's see if I can find the spoon part. Okay, okay, there's no inevitability about our consciousness. Having structures that make possible these freedoms and opportunities to choose, to do the right thing, to grow and develop into good, perhaps even heroic people. Unless you believe in providence, that it is to say, unless you believe that it was meant to be. Human consciousness is therefore sort of a miracle. If today we tend to overlook these ancients, or the ancients, we stirred by the wonder of it. As we are about to see, the intellectual leaders tracked subtle changes in human consciousness with as much diligence as modern scientists track changes in physical environment. The account of history, what is mythical and supernatural happenings, what was an account of how human consciousness evolved. Modern science tries to enforce a narrow, reductive view of our consciousness. It tries to convince us of the unreality of events, even quite persistent elements in experience that cannot explain. These include the shadowy power of prayer, premonitions, the feeling of being stared at, the evidence for mind reading, out of body experience, meaningful coincidences, and other things swept under the carpet by modern science. how much more importantly science is reductive mood that denies the universal human experience that life has a meaning. Sometimes scientists even deny that the question of whether or not life has meaning is worth asking. So basically, it boils down to, in the beginning, yeah, and I think that's the last one. Anyway, we're going to stop there, stop sharing. So that's the question. You're so much more powerful. The ancient people of the mystery schools, hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years ago, knew that our minds were really powerful, that we were more than what we are. Well, come boils down to it, we're soft. We've let ourselves go astray. We've forgotten how to ride the bicycle, basically. We don't do things to improve ourselves. We want to make it easy. So we invent mechanical things to do the work for us, when all we really need is our brain. Now we just need to train our brain to do those things. Bend that spoon. If I could train my brain to bend that spoon, what's to say that I couldn't train my brain to move the car down the road? Or maybe levitate me in the air and I could just fly there. Why couldn't I? What is gravity? And could I break the laws of gravity by using my mind? Could I not age by using my mind? Nobody ever asked those questions, but I think those possibilities could exist. If you have a question with that, or if you want to talk about that, just let me know. Come on the show. We'll have a good discussion about it. So it's a lot to think of. Secret societies. Do they know the answers? I don't know. I don't know anybody in one of those secret societies that knows anything. Most of them are just going for a good time. Those aren't the people that are going to raise to the top of those secret societies. It's going to be the wealthy or the powerful, or the people that sold themselves to a different life. And they must keep those secrets secret, or they're not going to be around very long. And if there's a chance that you might speak out, you might not be around very long either. Well, that's about all I got to say on that. We'll get back into this. We'll find out some really other cool things maybe tomorrow. Join me tomorrow night where we talk more about secret stuff, secret societies, secret histories of the world. Remember, go out and do something nice for somebody. You might not have much time to do it, and they might need some help. So go out, make it a great day. Remember, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. That's what it all means. Love you all, people.